Also, with the crime scene, and I've seen a lot more of the fake prison requirement now. So with one rep, that it wouldn't be enough time. That's the bus passing right there. I just recording everything audio. I decided the chip perhaps would go in the head or in anywhere else, and instead of trusting me and saying to my head or anywhere else, like in the hood, I imagine she walked to be here in the hoodie, in the hood of the hoodie. By the way, that's just like a car I mentioned a second ago. There's a bit too far away to be second talking. I mentioned that in the audio. We're going to listen to that. Now we will listen to that now. There's no point going there. It's 1 hour to the next one. The next one, I could remember as well. There'll be another evidence for each day. And, with me saying, come, ship, come, ship, come, ship, come, and she wouldn't come. I walked all the way over here to see if she was going to just bolt, as you see her doing. They run really fast. Instead, she was trying to go back, and I knew she would be trying to go back because yesterday when we were arriving here, she went that way. So my assumption is that she knows where she is, and she knows she's right there, right? So I knew that if I walked this way and she was still not coming to me, and then she turns around and goes to the other side of the pole, she was on this side of the light pole, she went to the other side, she was very likely going to go back. When we arrived all the way over there, I realized she's back, I have to walk even more. So I went there to pick it up. I picked her up, I put her in the head, she doesn't stay in the head. I put her in the bag, she usually jumps out. I don't wish she had to come with me, as I said to her several times. You hear me saying that several times. They kidnapped her mom, I'm not trusting her to be here by herself. I trust the babies, even then I have a reservation, they don't have a choice, I cannot carry me with me as well. But he's happy enough, he had a great mom. Her mom was always very much more friendly than Mama Kay ever was. Her mom, in her worst days, was far more friendly to people than Mama Kay ever was to me, which she trusts for a long time. Which goes to show, and the payouts, right? It tells a little bit about the people around here. So, as for her mom, I to this day don't know what it is. Even her siblings, because again, cats don't give one cat. Cats don't ever have a one cat litter. It's always many more than that, much more than that. No, many more. So I don't know what the idea that is. Okay. In the way out, I can't leave her alone. I don't have a choice, and she has to come. I tried to get her to go in the head. She was going at first, I thought it'd be good. I realized the dangers of having her nails very close to my eye and mouth, which not the eye but the mouth got too close. She was not trying to hurt me. She was not sinking in the head. Then she realized that this is hair somehow, but the fact that it fits, it's actually hair and it's not. So she decided to just stop in and it didn't react. But it was very sweet how she kept doing that little by bit. She probably didn't want to hurt me doing that right away. So it was very bit by bit fast. And I noticed that at some point she was pretty stuck, and I thought, okay, we're good. And then, in my opinion, she decided to get down, but she decided to leave. Because, as I said, it's important when she was the most stable. So unless she made a mistake and got to relax and tried to lay down, I don't see why that would be the point. You see how she stuck to everything? The clothes, the bags, everything else, and I tried to pull her up? Don't know how it would be conceivable that being able to stuck that well, that she would fall after getting the strongest there. Not in the beginning, but after she really got the hold. Don't see how that would be. Which means that I have to be there another day. So she probably decided to get down. And then once again, she fell on the ground. Or she didn't fell, she actually fell. She was falling in my mouth. I put her like a baby. And then she jumped from my lap into the ground. Pick her up, put her in the bag this time, try to put her in the bag. She jumps immediately off the bag, pick her up again, put her in the head. She immediately jumps out again because now she knows how. And then at this point, I'm realizing, of course, that's the time when you're going to have a parade of vehicles passing by making a lot of noise and make her very scared. But, I mean, I'm here. I imagine she'll buckle down to me, stay very close to my head, very big then. Think it's this language. It's very stuck in. Floral down very low, like she doesn't feel scared. And I don't know what to do, to be honest. Okay. I remember now, the next criminal is usually the criminal bus. We're gonna go there because there is no way we're gonna let it have a free pass. But, yeah, now we're going to do that. So, as we're walking here, this car, she's getting up and down, and walks ahead. See, okay, maybe she can follow me. You know, I asked her to follow me before putting her in my head, and I go back there, put her in her head, and then that's where she falls. I need to do something different. And then I just put her in somewhere. No, we kept walking. I put her somewhere, I think it's in the back again, I don't know. We walked more since that. So we come back to the pole, or come walk with her. I think I was getting my hand, something like that. I put her inside the box. We got to listen to everything they ordered. And now here's the problem, because as I'm trying to put this back in my back, that bag is really horizontal, like legs up. The top part is lower than the bottom. So I don't know how I'm going to pick it up or carry the other three. And carrying, because they ripped one side yesterday, so this has to go in the shoulder instead of going in the back. And then as I'm picking this one up, the other ripped thing gets off, because now it's completely unbalanced, right? As a matter of fact, this one side was holding not only its side, but because the other side was loose, it was holding almost like more than a half. This one thing was meant to hold a corset. Was holding actually more than half. So by now it will almost be natural to get off, even if we hadn't been able before. And just as I referenced, the one that they tried second, the one you saw yesterday, the one that they ripped, remember that they passed this thing around the seat belt in the bus as we were leaving. You see in the camera, as I tried to untangle it, they ripped that in hopes that I would just pull it. So it looked like that was the case. And you notice how I noticed that before and removed it before pulling it? Pay attention to that one. Because, so this is the next one. 11101. Potentially criminal bus, criminal driver, excuse me. And I didn't pull it. I removed it first. You didn't have to go all my body inside, the outside, to remove it and halfway through the door, because again, the thing that I find funny about the reasons, right? But I really love to see in the end how because every single thing you see is substantiated, right? Every single thing, every single running, every single thing is substantiated with some type of abuse, crime, major crime, war crime, dehumanization, war crime, that's number one, that's pretty much present everywhere. So I just want to point out to you what is the plan exactly? And I don't think that even they know what the plan exactly is. Their hopes and dreams, real bad. Pretty much like using other private source, but I just want to make that very clear. That's the whole concept doesn't really exist. As I said, it's not like me when I take risks, as I mentioned. When I review something, even using this one here, which kind of shows that I can, etc., which is controlled. I was doing like yesterday, the assumption was that I need to do that today as well. So the idea was that they didn't know, which is not always a good assumption. But then you have the trade-off, which is then I continue doing this charade, which they all might be already aware of, and how much of that pays off, how much of that doesn't pay off. As I said, definitely can guarantee that there's some criminals figuring this out now, what I'm saying. I can guarantee to you as well that they have most of others, I think most the ones that make things happen. So I don't know if they are who cares about cops, right? I'm not talking about weird behaviors, I'm talking about major choices. So, first time in a while, and one is even kind of more or less on the fence, the receiving 8 minutes ago, even though it only showed up now, they said 8 minutes ago notification that showed up on the screen. So you know how much sense does that make. Screenshot it as well, you can see. From there, video app, something. Okay. So either way, just trying to sympathize as much as I can, as quickly as I can, as you know. I think that's it. Okay, even this, you know what this is, right? You know, I'm always rushing, talking. It's because there's always something to do, like for instance, to head to the bus stop. Also because I'm always on the time, right? I'm always on the timer. And that is actually boils down arguably directly to the nature of the crimes being released in those things as in that was very interesting. Everything about the corner there is something you find interesting. And as I said, taking note of that, fortunately, some other places, I would assume more humbly that this just proves that all the criminals are seemingly aware of this crime. So, the reason why that bus in this video, the reason why that far right away and I saw nothing is because it's a very strong smell of like cigarette coming from there. And I imagine it was someone smoking right there in the corner and for us to put the smoke to get here. And then not them, but now we have this. So if you would assume that my behavior going there was ludicrous, it was insane, it was nonsense. Well, would you assume that now? So what kind of reasonable person would say that my behavior going back to check out was bizarre when you arrive and have that dude just standing there, a vehicle buzzing even though there was nobody in front of me. I thought the vehicle buzzing was the car overtaking the other vehicle, but no. The vehicle buzzing was the truck, the mini truck, the Paraguayan truck, the Argentinian size truck. So make it make sense. That being said, what kind of reasonable person would think of all the things that I mentioned, doing the drug runs and all the rest? This is my problem. Not this proves something about my problem, which you have to understand. But what kind of reasonable person would assume, looking at all the evidence you see now, that the problem is the random witnesses like this, and not the witnesses help showcase the scale of the problem to you? This is important. It's not a trivial question, okay? Because what I think is just this is a no way off. Okay? If it doesn't work, at least you don't get a thing. Like the couple you're gonna listen to in the audio recording, like they break their own child in the middle. Supposedly, it's not something much more dark than that, and try to blame it on the neighbors. So the neighbors said something, even though that the neighbors said something very weird later about cannot be blamed by every baby in the world. Like that's suspicious as fuck. Anyway, so break their own child with a needle to then move on to assuming that was the case what happened. And as the judge was saying, okay, your case is dismissed, that's a no-brainer. The issue is you still have a child that was hurt with a needle. I don't believe that they did it. I don't think even your story makes any sense at all. And at the end of the day, you still have that thing happen, right? So as essentially, as an analogy to this, for getting a needle in your clothes in the washing machine wouldn't be even a major deal anyway. On the other hand, for you to try to use that to leverage up the fact you still have a baby hurt, right? So again, this is what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not a simple matter of first of opinions, or a simple matter of okay, this is minor. What matters is the other crimes are still very much happening and hurting me and doing that on a daily basis. They all know this and they witness this as it goes. No reasonable person would imagine that if I say something like, I saw a cat in the beginning of the year over there by Gramado. It was a black cat, by the way. Nothing they want to hear because it's very far away. And the cats are territorial, and although they travel distance, there's not that much distance, especially because there's a lot of cats in the way that would have a problem with another random cat passing by. And the issue is, Which, by the way, for the argument that I'm partially going to raise about her mother being sick, her mother single-handedly was keeping out the 2 male cats that show up here after, away from here. So if his argument is that she's sick, you're saying that the sick cat was beating out 2 male cats that are much larger than her and keeping them away from getting to food, no less. Remember that she always chased cats to the other side, and you're like, what are you doing? Stop chasing the cats away. Because we thought there was like the huge small one. Yeah, there were the 2 male cats, the gigantic male cats you see here. And this is a major deal, because when you see the weird fucking patrol vehicle, it's on patrol vehicle as well. Hello. Anyway, this is what I was saying. Yeah, I generally thought it's some type of interaction that I wanted to say to you. And since they like to whisper things these days, to talk things from far away, so you don't get to listen properly. And I noticed in all the other videos I keep talking over, I was forcing myself to not speak too much, even though it looks suspicious. I mean, normally if I wanted to look discreet, I would just keep talking, acting more naturally, continue to do what I was doing before, which is, doesn't have to take a huge brain to figure it out. But since I generally believe that this was something powerful to say, I thought it was my... Well, wait a minute. Just a second. I just realized something. Where does that street go? That's an obligatory turn. It's a double lane for real. Right? It's a real double lane. Unless they forgot to change, but yeah, I'm not talking about the police. Police can do that. It's not a problem. My issue is, for normal vehicles, what is that about? Like, you should have a sign. I criticize a lot of vehicles passing through. Now, yeah, you have a sign over there, but then it creates a very strong assumption that you can just climb into the highway. Look at that. That would be a huge no-no. Crazy. There should have been a sign on that pole. The thing is not even in the pole. There should be on the ground over there. An obligatory turn sign. This is seriously dangerous. Sorry, I got sidetracked on minor things. I just realized I was talking about that and I remember the situation. I was like, yeah, police can do that, but then, wait a minute. What are normal people? This is so deceiving. Look at that. It's very easy to just go straight through thinking you're normal and not see the sign. Or even worse, actually, because that sign gives a strong impression that you turn into the highway. And look at this, the cyclist thing there. The bicycle thing. Even reinforces in your mind the idea that that's a lawful way because the sign is facing you. Right? I mean, come on, think for a second. You're going down the street, going that way. And then you see this. You come here, you see that sign blocked, and you see any sign facing you into that. You see this dark at night, they like to blow up this light. Remember this crime that they love to destroy lights? And you just accidentally in the ramp of a highway in the wrong way. That's like major. And there is nothing. Not anything facing that way is showing something else. As I said, things that will make any guy from a real place just pull their hairs out. Crazy. See, that's not the most natural tendency for your thinking, right? I mean, you know this highway, presumably, but if you're disoriented, you're lost, there should have been an obligatory turn sign over there saying you have to turn. This is the only way. Anyway, again, not my business. It's just like certain things. As I was saying that I don't know if there was some type of interaction to me. It reminded me of a bad incident that happened in Argentina. Once again, I was doing nothing wrong. Doing the famous, standing while me. I was in a bus stop in Rivadavia, almost in front of the Carrefour. It's very after what I always say. It's almost close to, in the way to Liniers. It's the one before Liniers. It's in between Miserere. The one closest to Miserere and Liniers. It's right in the middle. It's close to one of the subway stations. And Not only that, over there it's the outside of the highway. That's why they clustered the way, which means if you even if you park there figuring out what's happening, the huge chance of a truck or a car coming out of the highway hitting you in the front at high speed because they have preference as the stop sign. Crazy. Anyway, back to Cincinnati. So as I was saying, by the way, they're just pushing it in because it's going off from the air around. And remember I mentioned earlier, you're gonna see they're coming up. Yeah, exactly. Because of that, so there was this incident where this police officer stopped me for no reason. Again, I was standing in a bus stop and kept fronting to me. And my response probably not the one they expect, or anything like either such a thing, but you go to the police station. I'm like, okay, I'll go to the police station. You don't do any crime, you don't do anything wrong. Why would I be concerned about that? It should be a red flag by her. So what it was, as I said, I never have anything illegal with me to begin with. So again, describing lasting this long to other things we had. Although to be fair, they wouldn't want to throw away something that they have. Being the keyword there. But as I was saying, also what else? Just to finish approaching that, so you know how many amazing instances and I keep talking over the things that I wanted to listen to, they realize it's a major problem. And notice how I want to, because it's uncomfortable to me. Any of those interactions that I uncomfortable, mostly because I always have an excuse or take advantage of, or suffer some type of hostility throughout or after, not just hostility, but some type of abuse, actual confusion. So I don't like that. I don't want to be a part of it, but not to. Sometimes it's difficult to stay, forcing myself to try to stay put and not talk, so you listen to something right away. Also, should have slept right away, but I think that would be more suspicious if they were gesticulating to the camera before. You put the camera pointing. It wouldn't even be legal, but I thought that would be seen as me starting the action, and I don't want to look this way. I do as well. I want to look at this interaction need to be happening organically. Also, I don't care. Just some police officers do that duty. Not to do with me, not to do with me. I don't care. Not my concern. The type of evidence I mentioned about when I showcase police cars passing by is just to say, hey, look, in case later on it's an assumption that, there's no police anywhere. I mean, no, that is. You can see that very often. Also, if there was some type of harassment, sometimes you see them everywhere around me, even right behind buses where I was about to take, stuff like that. That's for another account. But even then, it's only contextual. It only has value if it happens more than enough times or it leads to something. It's just that if it does lead to something, I cannot just tell you on my word and make the images come back. I have to show it first, and to show it first, I have to record it first. And it's just how reality functions. Perhaps if I was not abused by everyone, and it was not just me, being just me, that wouldn't be necessary. But unfortunately, through the criminal choices, it is. And I'll tell you how unfortunate that is. So, I don't take that by itself for an accusation. That's just what might be necessary to prove something later. But by itself, it means it's doing their job. That myself several times mentioned the whole point is that the guys who classify have no reasonable means of knowing what's happening by themselves. I think that they know, but not because they're passing by. They know because of the reason, just passing by, seeing a guy with a bunch of bags talking on the phone. So what? Same way that I say they don't have any claims that nasty stuff to me, same way this person, they can just say, imagine I'm in distress, by just that. So that's the point. Again, reality. Does not look like I'm forcing things to the bias, but just analyzing the back difference. Should want to sleep or something does. Don't know how we're gonna move, to be honest. You know how we're gonna move this. Well, let's finish that talking before that. Anyway, this episode 19 happened is the search thing. trying to scare me with gloves and other things like that. This happened in the same day that someone took sedatives on me. You know, when I woke up, I was in the subway station. Here's the deal. This is a major problem. It's a major proof about the situation in anxiety, because I was in the subway station garage. Okay. The issue is, you see video every time that the operator passes in the final station is about to take the train out. It passes to the bus, because it turns out sleeping in a subway is a very common thing. It happens all the time. People all the time sleep unless steady, normal noise, unless it's something particularly annoying, and after a tired day, you sleep, right? When you get to the final stop, it's the job of the operator to go each car, make sure there's nobody there, and if it is, wake the person up. It's not like I refuse to get up or make a scene, no one to get up. I was asleep. When I woke up, I see nobody around, even though I was dreaming. Because they thought it would be funny that I wake up in the garage. First thing I do is I go to the command, to the front, talk to act like a normal person, right? Go there and try to talk to someone else. Hey, look, I'm here. Because if you know anything about me, you know how serious I take this crime, and I wouldn't just try to, it's an opportunity to explore. I was like, hey, dude, something responsible person. I should speak more like that. I'm going to start to do that from now on. It's difficult because of the gaslighting. You see how it tends to cramp up sometimes. Some responsible operator essentially just forgot to check if there was someone sleeping or inside a bus for any reason. And I'm here now. Yay. So, and the guy said, hey, you just go this way, you're going to end up in the station. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. So I followed this that way. There was proper markings. I didn't have needles in the back these days. And I get there, arrive at the station, get out of the station, and make a police report. Because inside my things, try to make this about there's someone messing for my things. Okay? Now here's the deal. You're thinking the police would do something normal, right? Instead they try to shove me from another place. And then I'm moving. They do something not only to not take care of me, but because the guys who did this so they could search my things, my belongings, to figure out if I had a recording device. The police. Now again, just to understand things in perspective, when I say about shit country, then I say there's a lot of basis for the democratically elected government for shit country. But there's so much more you don't even figure it out. Someone, which I don't think was necessarily the police, I think it was somebody like that, did that not just because I found it funny, but to search through my things. I had a strongbox, as you know, and I keep the key away from the strongbox because it also is the point of having a key. Later on, it's going to come up with important. I check on the things, I remember saying, yeah, I think that someone was searching for things because they couldn't find it. And I presumed that they were able to find one of the keys, but not the other one. And I remember bragging one of the videos saying, hey, look, for all the crimes, they couldn't do this. That's what comes up as important. Because later on, you try to get to this report that someone managed to things while in the final stop of this day in the train. And it's the job of the operator to check there's nobody inside the train. And if there's someone there, the person that's in the garage, you can report that, right? Even if you say that's not necessarily a crime, that's not what they said. Plus, someone definitely assaulted me. Because I noticed the things from my bag messed with. And assault is a crime no matter what. Not to mention searching for someone else's property, right? Obviously. Not only that they don't actually fire the thing, they lay me down until it's night. So the only reason I was walking on that street at night to begin with was because in the police station they delayed me the entire day just to not make the report, saying some argument about jurisdiction, which, as I said, is something that was a common occurrence and is the reason why shit people is called shit people today in parts of shit country. Now, yeah, their fecal habits might have something to do with it. It's certainly a role, especially in the tubular manner of it. But fecal habits, not as in their fecal habits, but the peculiarity of stalking on me taking a shit. Wait. That thing. So they might be helping for the nomenclature. But as far as the reasons goes, it goes deep. So they do, after that, and after I'm trying to go back, I don't know, the buses weren't stopping, or it was too late for buses. No, it couldn't be too late for buses. It was too late for buses. This was a night, right? It was a night. It was the last subway. So we only have buses. But in Buenos Aires, you don't pay with cash. You need to pay with the card. And I didn't have the card yet. I don't know exactly when it happened. It might have happened before I had the card. I think I had the card right away. I think it was after they stole my card. They stole so many things from me in the country. As I said, if you think that the list is small, if you think that I'm just randomly picking on that for no reason, or for things that happened, the classical racist argument, boy, you'll have no clue I'm talking about. It's not about race, or even nationality for that matter. It's not about the people itself, it's about country and culture, which is an entirely different point, but it gains a new meaning when surrounded by war crimes such as this. Continuing, and again, it's not even just a matter of the police or the government. They as well are democratically elected governments, mind you, because when you talk about atrocities, you don't usually say Nazi atrocities, but you usually say German atrocities, right? Do you really think it'd be easy for them to just get the Austrian guy out? I mean, he was tried, they had assassination attempts, in like 3 digits, right? Anyway, just saying that when you elect a government, you're kind of responsible for what it does. Make from that what you will one way or another. It's collective, it's not exactly the same as you pointing that person, I know, and it applies to everyone else even today, so that's when it comes. The issue is, just stuff I mentioned about traffic a second ago, but the car is really not supposed to be, but that's another point. Now imagine if this vehicle, they almost hit that car, had another vehicle parked here, because it's confused, because doesn't know where to go. Because it says no turn sign there, it's way too far ahead to go back. And what does it do? It just stays here and gets hit in the front by a very large vehicle coming out of the highway at high speed, right? Anyway, but again, this car which is another point. It's another primo, what I just said about racism. Several times, even in here, you see him emphasize with a lot of indignation the whole point of in the style nature. Why? Assume the possibility of racism, as you will. Why would it annoy or upset you when you have people killed stupidly, or even find that, well, good. No, I'm defending. It turned out to be just defense. I want actually then to make the super argument the one. Moving forward. To be fair, that's not my concern here. I don't actually see a list of thousands by the way. At very least, it's just something of shocking things that happen. It's a concern for people being killed or hurt. You see that in other times as well, when you just get subconsciously. And the best way for you to get people telling the truth, particularly about those things, everybody's going to say about themselves. Like, I don't like killing people, stuff like that. These in details and minor aspects. And you see that throughout this crime. I think a couple situations, but those are not obviously used because I would do things that I did on purpose. So just say, look throughout and you see the signs throughout. Okay? Might indeed find certain grounds of prejudice. Just don't think it's going to be the one there. Again, keep aware of your own prejudices before we put that one. The famous guy who just the video taken out of YouTube for saying something like, blacks lose. He was a chess player. Moving forward. Now, yeah, I think this is the fix the real tricky thing, but it does tell one thing actually about back to the point. So, on the incident, as I was going out back to the street, I don't actually remember how I ended up there. I know, which was from the foot, it's not that far away, but it has to be. Because the far away one is like, it's too far away. A bus. I don't know how I ended up there. Because I know that all the buses that pass that way go all the way through. Maybe I just got down from the bus. Because my assumption then was I took a bus, but the bus doesn't go all the way through. Maybe that was it. I don't know if they use a bus that stops by the Carrefour and goes in different direction. Maybe that's the point where I got down there. Maybe I'll have to take 2 buses anyways and decide to get down there to buy something in the supermarket, because that's when the 2 supermarkets is open 24/7. And unlike the kiosks, this one doesn't cost 3 times the price of everything, just normal price of any supermarket. And stays open all night. So maybe I took our only bus that passed through, the bus that only go to the other side of the city. And because my assumption is every bus that passes where the supermarket is continues on the same street. Right? Yeah. But then obviously they go different places. So my assumption is I got down at that place instead of a couple stops ahead when it split, because I then had to go to the supermarket and then take the other bus going probably to Retiro, the terminal. So I would spend many nights or somewhere else, or just stays in the bus. And again, I was doing that at some point, and the criminals solved that very swiftly, very efficiently, by essentially just using a lot of narcotics to sedate me every time, so they could search the things and do the things. That was before I just realizing that the airport is essentially the only safer place to be, where you're going to see another incident involving airport police. And the full understanding that in those lands here, can I speak fully about here? Can I? I can a couple times. I can speak here as well. There were incidents of police were clearly aware of crimes happening. Their duty to... The reason why you don't tell your cop friend that you just punch another lady in the face and hope not to go to jail is because he's duty-bound to arrest you. There's no discretion involved in not getting a confession in the aftercase. If it is a genuine confession, He has a duty to arrest you to say something like that. Or committing a crime. No, that is incorrect. I think I picked up the one example it doesn't apply, because the confession instead of the what you call flagrant lecture. Essentially, he cannot see you committing a crime, or else even if he's off duty, he's still duty bound to arrest you because he's witnessed a crime. It's a major deal, and again, different places more of a suggestion, but anyway, even in civilized places, it's more of a suggestion. I was walking the street though, so around the place. I was in a bus stop, the famous standing off. And this random vehicle just rode. It's a clear vehicle, no marking. Guys come out of the vehicle with nothing. Later on, they pulled out from their hoodie the badge, but up to that point, they were inside the badge. They had not a single uniform. Not even underneath the hoodie, which doesn't make a point because it has to be visible. So for all intents and purposes, those are a random fuck-off vehicle barking, chasing into me. Later when I came back, I saw the lights, kind of like these vehicles. That's what this reminded me of, because it's a normal vehicle with the lights blinking, but only after. No siren, no any major sign of anything. It turned to buy into me. I even thought it was like a vehicle entering the garage, because it was right next to the garage. And instead they tried to go back to me, and they come saying something to me, and I just run, because you see a vehicle parked in front of you, and you think you're going to the garage. And instead of that, they come trying to track you and just try to gank you. You pick up your things and you go, right? I mean, you're stupid. And I start crying for help, right? Police and help, because again, wrong two things. And then they tried. That's the point, and they realized it was important to have any type of identification or making it stop. Now again, those look like rookies. Talking about the age, like they talking about middle-aged people. This would be individuals who know one thing or two about how important it is, especially presumably investigators and such, to, you know, be presumed to be law enforcement abruptly stopping someone in the middle of nowhere, right? But I don't know. Okay, maybe whatever. The issue is, standing is no probable cause, reasonable suspicion, or anything for anything. Standing in a bus stop, furthermore, because not only you're standing there, you actually have a pretty good reason to not be moving, right? And they mentioned some, and it becomes clear when they come up with some made-up thing, which presumably was said for some type of recording, and like touching copper. Bronze. I don't know what that is supposed to mean. At the time, I imagine it was, and they pointed at something like, it was like, what are you talking about? The sheer level of, it was not even anger, it was just surprise, like, what the fuck is that? Equivalent. It was not actually in English. But you know when someone it is innocent and you know it is from like the get-go. It's not even like saying like I didn't do nothing. It's the opposite of didn't do nothing. It's spontaneously, right? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, what's it even supposed to mean? To this point, I don't know what it's supposed to mean. They pointed out at the cover for the hydrant. So there was the building, right? There was the garage entrance. There was this hydrant. No, not hydrant. Like on the street. There was this one that you stick in the wall and you pull out the things connect to the building water, not the streets, not. So it's kind of fire hose essentially, and the thing that was made of make-believe metal that was golden-like, because of the static of the building, I guess. That is essentially the cheapest material possible because the fucking cover for a fire hose. And he pointed to that. I thought that was doing like, and I think he can set something like the fire hose on the same tone of bizarre things. And in true fashion, for any other criminals besides, just try to run over its own voice by just trying to get to the point for that not to be brought up. This is a major deal. This is a stopping seizure that is not founded on shit. Done deliberately as a retaliatory measure so I will report on crime. This is a massive problem. You talk that to any criminal lawyer, any judge, anyone whatsoever for what that actually represents. Particularly in a scenario of such socialized abuse as this. Matter of fact, you wouldn't be surprised to have major incidents happening in any place that have disenfranchised can happen as a war crime. As a crime against humanity, not a form of technology. And this is a big deal, especially because I mentioned, I think in the audio, I mentioned two things. One was that I didn't thought that they got access to all the things that they locked. Second was something like I sometimes do with these situations, when there's something being reported. And you have voices stopping legally as presumably a retaliatory measure. This is what anyone can see if my case lies, right? I tried to report a crime. Seconds later, they lay me there, come up with some Trump excuse for me not to make the report that day. I was at a business home or whatever at night. Some random vehicle not identified as a cop car at all, in case someone could be filming or something else, just stops, seizes under some Trump excuses, clearly bluntly a lie. And so that's what any person glancing at that thing would think. But the actual thing was supposed on the checking, indeed, if I didn't have a phone or device recording. Because imagine if I just did, and then recorded how someone was probably, in the true fashion of how discreet and humble those criminals are when committing their crimes. They'd probably definitely not be bragging about something or saying something right on top of me or in front of me, and they all got recorded. So when I go to the police station, perhaps that presumably was the reason they expect I was in the position in the first place, to make a report and then give that to a cop and show that, hey, look, this is what happened, and that. So I should say, there were tons of few words. You know how I mentioned the cop the other day on the backup place? By the way, did I testify that? You can, I know what I did. When the owner of the guy who says he owns all the lands from this city into the next one, and lied to law enforcement about a guy who he believed, under his own words, his own assumption, was just a homeless guy doing harm to no one, just trying to be there. And he lied to a cop, saying that I was there way longer to presumably try to hurt me or cause some type of harm to me, so on. He was alive. And it was such an obvious lie, because he said like 15 days, right? It doesn't make any sense, because last time I was there, it was more than a month ago. You know how he know that? Because he said, I know it's about 15 days because we will start in the harvest or something like that. It's almost harvest season. And the issue for that is, that's a good reason for you to remember. If you're confused, you're going to say, I'm confused because you're something, right? You know any date specifically. But in this case, like me in Argentina in this case, like I say, I happened around the period when I didn't have a phone. If you ever know where you didn't hear that very well. Because at that time, I only had the phone that was in the car. It was the kind of one that you should call phone, but it wasn't important. It was right before I purchased a phone there, which they stole from me. It's a long story. When the time comes. And the day when this theft happened, I was going to a hospital to report something like this. In my finger. I don't know if it was something in the back like this or similar to this. And as I arrived there was a police car, the police was vehicle entering the hospital right in front of them, the way that they do when they want to be seen. So I said, pay attention to when you see criminals trying to do things. And I always try to find it for you. And then I would have this huge backlog of when I say that to you now, you know what I'm talking about, right? Because I didn't cause these vehicles to do what they do. I didn't cause these people to do what they do. Because telepathically know. And pay attention. Everything described links back to something. At least on my end. That's the case. And for the criminals as well in their own way. Except that they don't always have a purpose there in the end. Me, when I say pay attention to something, pay attention to something. Okay. As for the... but that was not the point. That was not the one incident. The one instance was very costly to me, but apparently, where after going there, and again, they refused to service the hospital where it was, instead of actually taking care of someone that was clearly in need. And I said, this is something similar. It was worse than this. The finger was red, it was big, because I don't know if it started an infection, the way that they cut through the actual skin as well, it reached that. You see, this one kind of like it. It was pretty warm that day, but now it's more normal. And instead of just saying, hey, look, it's just a bandage, we're going to do that for you, it's not really complicated. They're doing something. No, there's something else as well. But did I mention the incident in Ship Country when they said that, wait for this one, narcotics do not cause health breathing issues. Yeah, you heard that in Argentina first. Don't forget. This was a shocker. I remember saying, you know, when they say things that you have a medical professional inside the hospital that was no recollector. Hey, yeah, nothing inside once upon a time or once upon a place. In the recollector hospital, I know they got down in the subway. Not the subway, it was a bus. I don't know the subway that way. It's near France Square. I know that because it's close to the British Embassy, which is trying to go to ask help. They realize that until you get to the invoice, you're dealing with the local embassy personnel, and you might as well ease the process to interact with him. Besides, it's not like I have an official duty to the embassy to begin with. Okay. Either way. My assumption, if you want to know what it was, before having this overwhelming amount of evidence you now hold, and don't forget the ones to Sovereign Soil, which is said like this for a reason, and evermore throughout this video, you probably get the reason very clearly. The Sovereign Argentinian Soil is the point. Also, you understand a bunch of other things in very clear tones, as for instance, the Paul Revere account, which It happened right after they threatened me to death. And it's not like I was believing there was a very concrete threat. Not too much like believing one here. It was that, not recently, only 1 year ago when they took my cat, if I remember. Yeah, I had. Her incident also involving police, involving this kind of different. No, not the threat itself, but the way that it was reported later. Again, but the issue is, and I mentioned that so many times, I'm not keep bringing it up too much. As for and also one of the forgetting about this. So they just set up a thread, and remember, nobody's in a train, and they keep talking to each other. That's why when I say things like wouldn't hear, my behavior is profoundly different today than it was then. And then I feel very unsure about things, because say what you want about this country, law is more followed here by a long margin than it's all there. Don't need to go too far. Law enforcement is on the best principle. And it pays off. Because you notice it's not just law enforcement, much the contrary. In fact, no, not much the contrary. And example, as a matter of fact, key word there because it's in vain, the precedent, right? So, here you have a minor incident of the years will be related to that. Even I, when I phrase like that, I don't believe that there was narcotics in front of people. I don't. I said that other times, maybe. I cannot say it wasn't. But to me, it was just someone because they see law being broken all the time and they think that's funny. But at the end of the day, it's true a long margin because unlike Argentina, here you don't have cops in front of the station. So, as I said, every single time I mention the event, what could the police do? Like, they're inside doing the job, some guy throws something in front, by the time they get there, the person's gone. I mean, yeah, it is insulting, yeah, it is symbolic, and yes, I believe there's a consequence of the fact that it's crime being committed every day. That being said, it's miles away from what you see in galaxies, which is an entire different standard to what you see in City of Peace, for instance. When you see police officers directly involved in the industry, the name of the province is called, instead of saying, in the City of Peace, the Prince of Boston, directly involved in theft of documents, which is major as well for human trafficking and all sorts of important things, even maybe to this, and theft of property of someone who they stopped from boarding a bus. So let me make this very clear. This is the Concorde incident, by the way. So I described City of Peace. The Concorde incident, as I described several times, we better describe it again in this new phases. Yeah, think about it. The Concorde incident consists on me arriving after spending the whole day just getting ready to leave, so I decided to give myself a little treat, and I spent the afternoon in front of inside a, not in front, in a restaurant. It was the second most expensive restaurant in that city, which is not saying much, not counting hotels and so on, but the second most expensive restaurant in the city is available to the public. One is in the main city, main square, this one is over there, because the shit city is very small, whatever. Okay? And after that, that's a buzz, by the way. I realize it's bad, it's simple. So, main city, right? After spending the afternoon there, I leave. Okay, with you, leave. I was eating ice cream. It was strawberry ice cream. It was not much. I was only going to the four again. This is the second most expensive restaurant. You can have mention that, right? Yeah, we're only going to put a quarter of a bowl of ice cream with a good one, like $15 and stuff like that. Which is like, technically $3, but it's not the same as $3 for an American. Okay, purchasing power is the same. It's equivalent to imagine $10 in a small cup of ice cream, which I would say pretty expensive. 15 as well. It was pretty expensive for me as well, but as I said, it's a final day here. We're doing that. And as I try to leave, nobody wants to sell me a chicken. Like, this is a major, major deal. Because it turns out, I'm sure someone trusts me, right? Or inability to move, or slavery, or other things like this. It's a big deal, right? Somehow, always not quite there, but always kind of related in a way that to the fact that when they didn't sell me a chicken. There's a previous instance of that, when they did sell me a chicken, but the bus wouldn't show up. The bus simply didn't show up, and they didn't even find the chicken. That's the one time I mentioned that you have this federal agency, the equivalent to the Brazilian, clearly equivalent with reservations, because I imagine this being allowed to happen here. Although, as I said, I grew up with the notion where the law gets bypassed at times at grounds of corruption, but there is a law. That's where I grew up having. More times than it should happen, but certainly there is a law in the land. Notions like having federal agencies straight up signing as the private company. So here's what happens. They are supposed to oversee those companies that do, funny enough, transporting your passengers, right? It's not like they are the national agency supervising the recruitation of passengers, right? I think the national is separate. It's just for street traffic. It's not the same one that does air traffic as well, like the NTSB in the U.S. It's separate. That is just for road traffic. And because of that, you'd have, I should never check it extra bus stop. I'm going to go slowly. But because of that, what you have is this is the issue. You want to know why it's not moving yet? Several times I think to myself, I'm going to be moving there, going slowly, one bag at a time. It's because this bag requires both hands, and I don't have anywhere to use the hands while moving. Either I'm going to finish this until this video ends, and then I'm going to just stop and start. Then I'm going to upload this until it says. So, here's the deal. For road traffic, right? Actually, give it